Let's do this. Okay. Which view do we want? It's one of these ones. Ah, here we go. Full screen cam. So, welcome to the stream, and I'll stop tapping my mouse. Today we will be building... What are we building? The BMR, or BM Racing BMR-X. Actually, just ignore me while I go video for Linux. Yes, I don't care about that. I'm just going to fix the focus on this because I absolutely hate autofocus. Update, I'm going to sync you to 25. Yeah, that seems like a good compromise. Okay, ignore me. I should have had this set up beforehand. So yes, exciting. BM Racing. I know BMR has one of these as well, or has one on order. And you know what? I thought I'd be competitive for once, as I usually am when it comes to Mini Z's, and build it before he does. So let's get on with it. Now, I actually got very, very smart. So if you open up the box, there's no manual. There is a little barcode here, but there's no URL for the instructions. So I cheated, which I'm very, very good at doing. And I made my own PDF of the all the instructions. So it's about 19 pages. Looks reasonably easy. Nothing outlandish here. I'm actually looking forward to a pretty straightforward build. This is a beautiful vehicle. So let's dive into the parts first because I actually haven't had much of a look at this. I actually received this last week, and I'm actually just thinking now, I'm kind of surprised I didn't pull it apart and have a look. So I've got a lot of metal parts here. I've got the swing arms, another one of these plastic things which suck. I've got a whole lot of better things. Brass rods. This is actually quite weighty. Metal gears. So the one thing I do like about this vehicle is it's a front wheel. The motor's at the front. It goes around here. It gives it a rather unique look. And in fact, there's a lot of very, very interesting things about this chassis, which I'm very, very looking forward to. Okay, so this looks like shocks on a standard sprue tree. Rear setup. It'll be interesting to see how well, what the accuracy of these is. Now here's one of the interesting things. Oh, they did actually include wheels. That's very, very nice of them. And a gyro. That's interesting. That'll go in my parts bin. And I'll probably be replacing that servo with something a bit nicer. In fact, the worst part is I've actually just got the camera resting on the pack of servos I had today. So I made a joke online, on Twitter, where I make a lot of jokes and talk a bit about Mini Z's, but I made a joke that I buy commercial quantities of servos. And it turns out it wasn't actually a joke. I actually do buy commercial quantities of servos. I've got a habit, and I really need to break it. So I've probably got about 8 of these, and another 6 or 8 of the larger servos I'm using for the rally truck at the moment. I actually just ran out, and I also ran out of ESCs of all things, would you believe? So I just put an order for Ensotec ESCs. I'm not saying the Ensotec stuff is the best, but I've got the Bluetooth and USB adapter, and it works really, really well for that purpose. Having to only deal with one specific type of... Oh, my lights went out. Servo is really, really good. ESC is really, really nice. Okay, and that servo is the same size, so we'll probably end up using that, in all honesty. Just going to check why that light went out. Ran out of power. That's alright. It's saying 22. Oh no, that's, yeah, 22%. Okay. Maybe just not at that brightness. Just bear with me while I get the lighting set back up again. And I'm just going to put the second light on USB charge as well. I should have fully charged them after my last session. There we go. Yeah, so I don't know how good that servo is. I've got good stuff. I'm going to stick with the good stuff. So it comes with tires. Now these rims are really, really interesting because they're adjustable. You can actually change, and in fact, why don't we pop them out now, because it's one of the more interesting features of this vehicle. So we'll just pop one out like that, and then if you push them forward and rotate it, you can actually change the dish or the offset of the wheel, which is a really, really, really awesome feature. I haven't seen this on anything else, but I must admit I really, really like it. And I just realized these are the circular front-wheel drive wheels. I actually just picked up some aluminium rims I'm going to say by accident. I picked up the the rear-wheel drive ones that are rather than the all-wheel drive ones, and was a bit annoyed because everything else I have is all-wheel drive. So that was a bit of a bummer, but it means I might be able to use it on that. These look like body mounting magnets, which is good. After BMR's recommendation, I went off and picked up a whole chain of magnets, and they clamp very well. These ones are a little larger, but I figure it was just a bit easier for me to mount them that way, so a bit more force. In fact, I've already chipped one. Wow. Those neodymium magnets, or however you pronounce it, very, very prone to cracking, even with the alloy coating. So here's probably the next other innovative bit about this kit. It's an adjustable wheelbase, and very much huge amount of actual adjustability. But the battery mounts are what I like about this and how they come apart. So let's just go back to the instructions, and we'll just chuck that box on the ground because I can't be bothered. So this is how they sit, and you actually unscrew that and then it slides out. I actually really, really like that, and I kind of like that the entire body is very, very flat and you've got the gear shaft on top. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out in practice. I've seen some really, really good things. The front suspension, no, so the front turning setup is rather unique with this little bit down here as well. I've seen some people drive these things, and there hasn't been a lot of fanfare, but people seem to like them quite a bit. I suspect this might be a bit of a hidden gem, so really looking forward to building it. And why don't we just dive right into that? So while we're doing it, we'll rate the instructions as well. I'm always prone to making sure or rating the instructions because to me it's a big thing. I get a lot of questions from people who are new to the hobby about what I should buy, and in fact, speaking of things people should buy, do I have his channel up at the moment? I was literally just watching the video. Open in new tab, break that out, just move that there, put that there. While that's loading, I was literally just watching Garage's RC's, ooh, that's not good quality, video. Oh, I did have it up. Paste and go. About the XRX GLD and the DRZ V2, which I thought was an interesting video. He's definitely gone a lot more in-depth into these chassis than I ever have. I must admit I haven't been doing much drifting lately due to work concerns, but it was very, very interesting, and his comparison was very, very apt. He definitely knows his stuff. I'm very, very tempted to pick up an XRX. And Garage RC, you may actually have a sale incoming. Funnily enough, we'll see what happens at the end of the stream. So, pop. Oh, you know why now? I've lost my spot on YouTube. Live. There we go. Perfect. So, first things first, carbon fiber. These are all bowed out. That's not good. May not be an issue if that's a top plate though, or if a screw fits down. Yeah, they're actually bowed on both sides. So these are not flat, these holes. They've got like a, I don't even know what to say. They're like a cap or a ring around them. That may not actually turn out to be an issue. I won't know until I really dive into this. I actually suspect it's not. It doesn't feel nice, but I mean, it seems like they've paid attention where attention needs to be paid. Every other cut is near perfect. And in fact, that is some rather fine milling work on... So people might not realize I'm getting into CNC machining, and I might end up getting a proper CNC so I can start milling parts and carbon fiber myself. the milling pattern on, oh, the light's going to bite me here, on here is really, really good. You basically, it's very, very smooth. You can make out the cut lines, but they're not actually that bad. Compared to like the GLA, for example, where it's really, really obvious. I mean, you could say it's an art piece, but if you do it properly, then it's just attention to detail. And I'm just going to put that down to attention to detail. Okay, so it does seem like some of the screw holes are bowed out, but having a closer look at this, maybe that's epoxy, maybe not. Well, that's chamfered as well on carbon fiber. That is an interesting touch. Let's take a closer look. In fact, I've got just the tool for this. Oh, here you are. Let's hide my very, very secret project. It's not too secret, but it's just a brushless mini Z 4x4. I'm just waiting on a circlip for that. Worked really, really well until I lost the circlip. In fact, it worked so well, it could put down more power than the center diff clutch could actually handle, and in the end was just slipping constantly. So I'm very, very tempted to glue that all up. Yeah, I'm not sure what this finish is. It could very much just be a touch of glue in the screw holes, and then they were drilled through. Which the reason you do that is it seals the edges of carbon fiber, and so if you have something like a screw edge burn on the end, it doesn't cause any dust or anything, and gives it something to grip into. Doesn't look nice, and I suppose you could go over the top, but then you'd risk damaging the carbon fiber. So let's just try and make some progress tonight. I'm not going to do this in one session, I don't think. What's the time? I've probably been streaming for, 10 minutes. Not doing too badly for today. So we need M210s. These are... okay, so the screw bags are all individually labelled. That's a nice touch. In fact, I should probably put it onto camera over desktop. Yeah, so you can see that M250. Plenty of shims. They look all like the plastic variety, and they give you motor shims as well. What I find funny is they give you motor shims, but I don't know if you can see this on camera. I've just spent the last day 3D printing shims. So I've got every type of shim you could possibly imagine and possibly want for a Mini Z at the moment. And they did come out a bit twisted, depending on how long I spent curing them, but I'm not too torn up about that. M210 countersunk. There we go. I'm just going to put those over there. What parts do we need? We need the chassis plate. Good. We need the battery holder. That's good. Now that part was in 3 dimensions, so I suspect it's plastic. The part I'm referring to is this part here. It's not that. There you are. In the plastic bags. You know, the other thing I appreciate is Ziploc bags. I mean, I love my ceramic cutter, don't get me wrong, but I very much prefer bags I can reuse for other things. Getting a bit sick and tired of chucking out plastic. Yep. Okay, so these are identical sprues. Very, very nice. That means they've thought about their design and made all the parts, I guess you call it ambidextrous. Work both ways, so you only have one sprue you need to print. Definitely saves costs because injection molded plastic, the sprue is relatively cheap, but the metal that holds it and you force the plastic into, I'm going to call it the template or whatever it is, that's actually expensive. It requires a lot of polishing and a lot of time and effort. Oh, and actually, you know what? That's separated from the plastic very, very well as well. We are going to clean that up. Not because we need to, but just because I think it deserves it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Oh, knurled nut, golden nut, that, and we still need the M24s, which I didn't notice before. I do love how they've labelled these bags. M24 counter. And you know what? I just realised. Yep. 4, 5, 6, 10, 14 and 6. They've got a lot of screws, don't get me wrong, but it's not the worst I've seen. And it looks like they might actually provide a significant amount of extras. So, what do you need those for? Oh, those go in the bottom. So we don't need this step just yet. We do need the knurled thingamajigs and the golden nuts, which are literally golden. I'm not even kidding. They're golden. The knurled nuts and the hex nuts are also two different types of metal, which may or may not be interesting or relevant. I don't know at this point. But people probably don't realise if you use the same type of metal, and I actually hit this the other week when I was working with my bike, you can get metal to metal welding if the metal is the same type on both sides. So one trick is to use different metals so you don't get that contact welding. In fact, I'm just going to bump up the camera a bit. There we go, now you can see my hands. The contact welding can be really, really nasty. Did I take this out or did I just leave them there? I thought I took them out. I'll just take 2 out. No, I need 4, don't I? There we go. Well, it looks like they did give me an extra, that's good. So I was trying to pull apart my titanium bike to do a gearbox overhaul and couldn't actually undo it. The two pieces, like a couple of aluminium pieces, had welded themselves together and I couldn't disengage it. And trust me, I put in enough force on it to actually bend the aluminium. There was no way I was getting that off. And I don't think I Loctited it, although now I think about it, maybe I did Loctite it. That could be why. Going off topic. Let's look at this. Plate. The notch is on one side, so notch goes up. We put the screws in the end. Oh, that is flat. That is really flat. So I've noticed with the GLD and the DRZ that the screws didn't quite sit flat with the chassis on the bottom. And I just recently bought a plastic HDP sheets to combat that, because if they don't sit flat, I can't use my marine carpet, and if I can't use my marine carpet, well, I couldn't use the marine carpet because everything, what did it do? It caught on the screws underneath the chassis. And it doesn't take much to do that. I also just realised I didn't prepare any of my tools before this session. So we will make this up as I go, as I traditionally do. With any luck, I just pulled out the right screw or the hex bit. That's looking promising. No. Yeah. So I grabbed everything but a hex bit. It's real good. Hex, hex, hex. There we go. I really need to organise my tool desk a bit better. I'm literally slowed down by how quickly I can find the appropriate parts these days. Yep, that's it. I actually did manage to start doing some sorting the other weekend, because I did get a proper tool chest to store my parts and everything. But it turns out I've got so many parts that organization is something that takes a while the first time you do it. Okay, so that battery goes over. This is actually trickier than it looks. Don't worry everyone, I'm a trained professional. Except I'm not professional or trained or good at this. Don't know if you can hear it, I've actually got the resin 3D printer going on in the background. I've had mixed results. So I had 24 hours worth of really solid and good 3D printing, and then after that everything I printed failed. And then had a closer look at it just a moment ago and noticed that I had one part from a previous project lodged in the bottom, and I think that was preventing the top plate from coming all the way down, and so I ended up wasting probably about $20 worth of resin, which is not fun. But this is all a learning experience, right? The reason I'm doing the resin 3D printing at the moment is for the rally truck. So I've got some family who wanted some stuff printed, but it's mainly being purchased. Oh, sorry. I mainly use a resin printer for my own engineering stuff. Where can you get tires for 24th scale? Are we talking about a 4x4, Daryl? Or are we talking about for like a drift vehicle? Or... And do you mean like, actually, if you've got a model number or something, that'd be a lot easier, because this BMR is claims to be a 1/24th scale, but you actually use 1/28th mini Z scales on it. 4x4, are we talking about the mini Z 4x4, or are we talking about the SCX 24, or... Oh, the A2A, so that'd be Banggood, that'd be one of the Chinese manufacturers. I'd check on Banggood. You can also check AliExpress, but I've just had a lot of luck with Banggood basically. Does it have a hex on the axle? Because if it's got a hex on the axle, go off and measure the size of the hex from side to side, not from point to point, literally from the flat side to flat side, and then you can go onto most RC car stores and search by that hex piece. And then you just match up the diameter of the wheels and the width of the wheels to whatever you want and whatever will fix on the chassis. Just remember when doing the diameter of the tire and seeing what fits, make sure you tilt the chassis, because otherwise you might have the... if you get tires that are too large in diameter, if you tilt the chassis, it will end up impacting and catching the body. Yeah, thanks for that, EF Racing. It's actually been an interesting last 2 weeks. My momentum has significantly dropped in terms of subscribers and hours watched, but I'm in two minds about that. I haven't really been uploading the type of content people want. No problems, Dara. I mean, if you've got any other questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to probably be here for the next hour or so. Yeah, my subs and whatnot, the momentum has dropped, but I think what people got most on my channel was the chassis builds, and that's kind of why I'm doing a BMX build or BMR build at the moment. With the next one probably going to be the XRX from Garage RC. I was just watching his video before I started the stream, and I saw the slow motion footage of the XRX, and I'd been on the fence about getting an XRX originally. But after seeing that slow motion footage and the performance out of that chassis, I'm kind of sold on it. It's going to be very expensive, and that's why I've got the budget for it, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know if I want to spend the money. I'm in the fortunate position to have stupid amounts of money for very silly hobbies. And so this YouTube channel is about spending my money, so everyone else doesn't have to spend their money on making mistakes. I figure that's the best thing I can do with my time. Ooh, speedrun car. I tend to keep my email very private. I've got a very big IT background, and I've dabbled in computer security. I don't mind you posting stuff here or to Twitter, either works. yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I use email for very, very specific things, so sorry about that. I am interested in the details. Like, feel free to just dump links or whatnot here, because that stuff always interests me. But are you doing speed off-road? Because if you're doing speed off-road, I am very interested. The Dakar rally truck is very much about speed off-road. So you're speaking my language. How does that? Oh, okay, that slides on pretty nicely. Okay. So we're getting, I'm glad they started off with the battery stuff on this, because the battery setup is really what interests me. Oh, speed off-road. So are we talking rally here? Because I've been watching, what's it? It's not rally racing, it's the rally race. Oh, it is rally races. I've been watching the SoCal rally races stuff, where they actually actively run behind the vehicle. And I'd love to do that, but I'd love to do it in a smaller scale. Oh, 7500 kV. Are you running what motor are you running? Because I normally run Ensotec stuff. And you're probably running something a bit, well, I mean, if I was doing rally off-road, I'd probably go with something a bit beefier and more robust than the Ensotec stuff. I actually got I am working on a brushless Mini Z 4x4, and I got it working, and I just need to redo the wiring on it, and it worked super, super well. I still need to gear it a lot lower, because the low-end control is a bit crappy. But the one thing I did notice about it is it gave me an opportunity to benchmark the RC Atomic ESC versus the Ensotec motor with the censored motor, and there is a difference at the 1/3 throttle and lower. The Ensotec is much, much better and accelerates a lot. It gives you a lot more control at the low end, but it's clear to see why people go with brushless on 4x4 builds. Actually, Daryl, you may like this. Where did I put it? There you are. Okay, so I don't know if I've shown this on the channel yet, but I picked up a Tekin BXR brushed ESC. There's not a lot of reviews on them, but this is going to be going into my rally truck. If I turn the rally truck into a product, I'm not going to be doing it with these, because this was ridiculously expensive. But I'm very, very tempted to just see what sort of control I get out of this. And I actually wanted the 3rd channel adjustable engine braking, which for the rally truck I think is going to be a big thing. Oh, 2030, oh, 4 poles. In a 2030? So that's what, 2 centimeters by 3 centimeters? Where is... Let's just grab that. I need my calipers. Where did I put them? You know, I've got 3 sets of calipers and they keep on going missing. I'm just going to use my cheap calipers in that case. 20 by 30. Okay, so you're running a big boy motor. You're running something a bit bigger than what I am. Was it just a cheap off-the-shelf? Actually, I'm going to leave this around because it's going to be handy. A cheap motor, or was it something a bit better? Or I'm interested in the large size motor. I'm running N20s. Well, actually, I'm running N30s on at 2000 kV on the rally truck, or 1000 kV. I haven't decided, but I might even go dual motor on that. I don't want to go dual motor, but I may have to get the torque I want out of it. I haven't really done any numbers on torque, so I don't know where it's going to stand in regards to that. Oh, so that's a really nice idea. So the plastic goes over the sides, and I was wondering what that was about, and it's so that the body plate can just slide on really, really nicely. That is really, really, really good. Which means we need the M24s now. I hear good things about the castle, because, I mean, what was interesting about what you said was it was a 4-pole motor. I wish I could get more poles. ESC, and it is brushless. I really like the lack of resistance in brushless motors. I know, like, some people like the, especially for crawling, the brushed motor resistance, but I like the car being able to actually like roll forward like a real car under momentum. So we need to do at the back. You don't happen to have a YouTube channel, do you, Daryl, that you upload to frequently? Yeah, okay. So I was right, they actually have glued the inside of that carbon fibre, and that's why it's got that protrusion on the top. And it just makes these screws stay in when you screw them in. So that's good to see. These guys, looking at the quality of the cuts on the carbon fibre and the overall design, these guys really kind of knew what they were doing. So there needs to be 4 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, so 2 there. In fact, I'm not going to do that. I'll adjust the length later, so I'll just go for the default holes. 180 brushed, yeah. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this teching goes. I mean, I'm definitely going to go with brushed for at least the original rally truck. But that's mainly just due to I'm using a very, very odd chassis, and it takes in N20 or N30 motors. I've already got some very, very vague plans to upgrade the chassis to something I've designed myself. And that's a high likelihood, but at this stage, working on that doesn't get the job done, so to speak, and I need to get the job done. And once I do that, okay, that goes like that. These are the Counter-Strike M24s. Once I do that, the costs of building the rally truck and offering it as a product significantly drop. And that's important because like the chassis is just hideously expensive. It's a great chassis, don't get me wrong. But if I can design it and get them, like at the end of the day, a ladder chassis for like a Dakar truck or something is pretty easy. So it's not going to be hard to design something that'll fit my requirements perfectly, because I'd like to adjust the suspension setup slightly and make it a bit longer as well. I'm actually a pretty big Tekin fan, and they built a 1/10 scale rally truck, or Dakar rally truck, and so that's kind of what I've based my stuff on. But in the end, if I can make the entire thing 3D printed, or even offer the plans up for sale online. So not offer the plans up, make the plans available online. That could be a lot of fun. And then I can put the larger motors in, which is the main reason for, yeah, I'm going off topic. Yeah, that was the main reason why I wanted to offer the chassis, was purely because I could then put a larger motor on it if I found the current motor to be insufficient. And I'm not necessarily going for speed, because I'm actually aiming for realism. But I do want torque, and I want a lot of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not trying to rush this build at all, which is kind of nice for once. I figure that I want to do this over a couple of days anyway. And unfortunately, due to work commitments, I won't be able to do this on Wednesday. Is it that one? No. So I don't know why team dinners are a thing. It's just not my cup of tea. So it's got clips, no. Ah, there, it's that sprue there. Okay. So once again, identical sprues, rather brilliant of them. This is a good plastic. Everything twists off, and the plastic has a bit of give in it, but feels reasonably tough. Kind of happy with that. It actually reminds me of the Kyosho 1/10 scale plastics. Kyosho has this reputation of having good plastics, and then I got the Mini Zs and I thought these are good plastics, and then I built their 1/10 scale and realised that the Mini Z 1/10 scale plastics are on a completely different level to the Mini Z plastics. There we go, just clean that up. Yeah, it's super hard for the 1/24th scale. It's, BMR-3 on YouTube is getting into the 1/24th scale. So So definitely look him up if you're into drifting 1/24th scale. But he noted that at 1/24th scale, a lot of people custom build their chassis. They'll get a model kit and then build it from the model kit. Okay, so I need rods from here, and I need 16 mils, and I knew I'd need this in a second. This is a very, very cheap caliber. I'm not going to say crappy because it's actually proven to be pretty effective, but just in the shape of a pen. And I picked it up sort of as a joke, but I knew I was going to need it for specific things, and it'd just be generally handy to have around. But yeah, I picked up an airbrush fairly recently, actually. So I'm looking to start airbrushing my bodies with an eye to custom building them and printing them with a 3D printer. So hence why I've got the resin printer, and I've got a couple other 3D printers. And should be interesting. I don't yet know how I'm going to design the rally truck body because I want it to look actually pretty decent. But I think I'll tackle that bridge when I get to it. I first need to finish off the electronics. And I'll tell you what, coding electronics by hand is an absolute pain. I could take something off the shelf, but I'm trying to basically do something that no one's really done before, which does not make my life easier. Oh wow, that's a metal part. I had no idea. Well, I suppose it makes sense if you mount the motor into that, and the way the gears are put on it, so one above the other, as the bottom gear turns, it's actually going to push the top gear up, so you really want the metal motor mount to hold that gear in place. I didn't even realise that came with bearings. Makes sense. What am I looking for? It's just these... Oh, that's right, there were plastic spacers, weren't there? Here they are. So what am I looking for? I am looking for 1.5, 2.5, 0.3s. 1.5, 2.5, 0.3. There you are. It looks like they give you a lot of shims, which is good. It's funny, RC Atomic doesn't ever give you enough shims, and you always end up, because they're so hard to put on, losing so many. Thanks for the video about the gyros. It's that was a funny video, I must admit. It's like I had this idea in my mind that I had these types of gyros, and I was going to go off and compare and contrast them. And then I think it was lunchtime, and I just had half an hour off at that time. And I went and checked my gyros, and it turns out they're all actual proper gyroscopes, not an accelerometer-based gyroscope. And so I very, very quickly had to change what I was trying to, or change the aim of that video. Glad it turned out so well. Those AFRC gyros are just brilliant. And I've got a lot of AFRC stuff now. It's really, really good. I suspect that the hack slider is probably very, very similar to the AFRC one. But back to your body thing, I suppose you could go 1/20th, but I found that scale doesn't really mean much when it comes to RC. So I'll give an example. That is 1/24th according to Gyosho. And now the Jimny is a tiny vehicle. It's a very, very tiny vehicle. Actually, no, I think they classify this as 1/18th. That is also 1/18th. Like, I can tell you in real life, these cars are nowhere near the same size. So for them to be actually like this, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, can't wait to do the light kit on this blue one. Oh, where can you find 2mm diameter shafts? Let's just see. Is this 2mm? This is 2mm, and this is the same as a Mini Z shaft. I've just got drawers and drawers of Mini Z gear pinion gears, and I use them. The real trick is to match the angles on both sides of the gears. If you don't, they're really noisy and they wear each other out. But as long as you've got a match set on both sides, it's pitch. That's what I'm thinking of. As long as the pitch on both gears is the same, you're generally pretty good. So I had a piece here a minute ago, and now I can't find it. Well, that was smart. Oh, there it is. That was super smart. Making myself look good on stream. Let's break you off. Bingo, break you off. You know, this would have to be one of the easiest builds I've actually done. There is nothing really complex on the front end here that I have to worry about. And that's one of the things that was appealing about this chassis as well, was the front end just looked robust. Oh, that's good. You should mention that to Beaver's Hobby as well. He did a video on the gyros as well. And we had a lot of back and forth about them. And I think we're both pretty happy with AFRC's products. Like all the servos I've got are just AFRC. And in fact, I had a package arrive today. Where did that go? Did I plug into the PC? Oh no, here it is. It's the AFRC servo programmer, which I need for the rally track because I'm going to detune the servo so they bounce around. Oh, that's good to see. Yeah. Beaver is an awesome dude. It's kind of nice that when he had those issues with the GLD that HRC just helped him out. Kind of glad to see that. There was a white space here and I dropped it. There it is. Yeah, like as I said earlier in the channel, like one of the primary things I'm trying to do with this channel, and I don't always have the opportunity to do it, but when I do, I jump on it. Where did I put my tweezers? Is basically buy stuff people want, see if it's any good, and let them know whether or not it's worth their money. Because this can end up being a very, very expensive hobby. And I don't like it when people spend money and then are disappointed. Although that said, like, I said the DRZ V2 is bad. I don't know if I actually said bad, but at the very least I probably implied it. It's not actually that bad a vehicle, it's just that there's so much stuff, other stuff that's slightly better, that I would just get that if it was up to me. Okay, I take back what they said, or what I said about this front end being easy. I've never been a fan of these plastic stopper things, and I can remember why now. In fact, I'm doing this wrong. I've actually put it on backwards. So I'm going to show you a pro tip for these white plastic slipper things. The DC-130, are referring to the Mini Z 4x4. I just want the default gearing. It's already at the second highest gearing out of the box, so we do the hard recessed sized first with those ones, and then we press fit the white end bits into this here. So if I go like that, go on like that, finger on that, and line it up like that. Push down from the top. Done. So that's the trick to doing those white spaces, is doing the hard parts first, where you've got the most freedom to actually get them pushed in, and then just gradually do the easy stuff last and feed them into their final location. Oh really? I saw, so I'm actually a pretty big Twitter user, and there's no one else, well, there's a couple of people from, well actually the Japan Mini Z scene is pretty big on Twitter. Everyone in in the US and everywhere else seems to be on Facebook, which I don't have a Facebook account, and I'm on the fence about it at the moment for business reasons. But he's got a Facebook, Beaver has a Twitter account, and I've never seen him actually post to it. But he is definitely a pretty awesome dude. And his voice, like, I find it funny, so he's been doing some raw build videos lately, which I find hysterical, because a lot of people have started doing it ever since I've been uploading them to YouTube. And he sounds completely different on those videos, not in a bad way, but I don't know what he does in terms of the audio processing for his voice, or the filtering or background elimination, but I really wish I knew his trick for that, because I would love to clean up the audio at my end. Oh, 1:1 ratio would be wonderful, especially with the brushless. So one way to combat the issues with brushless at low speed is to just gear it lower. And the one thing I noticed with the Mini Z 4x4 is that it's got more than enough power. In fact, it's got a wider power band than the brushed DC motor. So I actually found it significant. It was actually almost twice as fast on the brushed motor. So I could easily go like halve the gear ratio, get more low-end control. And in fact, that would put me in almost a perfect range for low-end control if I halved it even again. And then, so just let me fit that. I need really, really fine. Yeah, so halve it again, and I was going somewhere with that. Yeah, just get more control of the brushless. And it would still be fast enough. So I think the most hysterical thing I've ever done is take my RC crawler for a walk down to the park with me. So I didn't carry it or anything, I just literally put it in front of me and started driving it. And I've got, it was the pink Mini Z Hummer body, which I've grown quite attached to. It's very, very glary, and doesn't show up very, very well on camera shots. It turns out it's actually a lot more subtle in real life. But yeah, it just drove it like I was taking a dog to the park or something like that. That was a good time. Oh, 29 to 29. At least on the Mini Z, I don't know how I do it. I'm already running a 16-tooth pinion. I suppose I could go down to 8, but then I actually have clearance issues with the motor. Hopefully you're that one. Tell you what, having the right tools really makes a difference. In fact, that looks like a completely different metal. We used one of those. 29 to 29. You know, I really have to look up this A202 because it's sounding very, very interesting. Oops. Why is that? Ah, okay, so I've got to go further in, that's why. And that goes on the front there. I should be holding this up to the camera, but what I really need is a camera at my eye view. I do like the those like the A202, and I've got one of the WL Toys 14401s or whatever it is. They're just so easy to hack on. Although I kind of really wish they'd stop using the Loctite on everything. It's interesting because I actually bought two of the WL Toys 14401, and there is a noticeable difference between the quality of the first batch and the later ones that came through. The later ones are a bit more streamlined, but the performance is nowhere near as good, whereas the initial batch just hauled ass. It was so much better. Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that, so I'm going to put this screw in and actually I was going to bring it up on stream, so... Why is that not screwing in? Oh, it just needs more force. Yeah, I think that's the wrong end bit, so let me just do something off screen. Bang, good. Where did you go? You did have a search bar somewhere. There you are. Doesn't help that I've got it in night mode as well, which is always painful. Oh, there's some wheels. I don't think this is the A202 though. Let's. A202. I'm just going to put. I don't think it's WL tires, but we'll see what comes up. The 1/24th scale buggy. Yeah. I need to fix my buggy. I finally worked out what the problem was with my Mini Z Kyosho. So I've actually got a 12,000 kV buggy, which sounds insane, and to be honest it is. And I was stripping gears, and it turns out my motor spacing was badly incorrect because I thought I'd used the correct motor plates. It turns out I really hadn't. So right, the right spaces. I know the specs for it. I really want to get back into buggy racing because I think the buggy was like the second thing, like the second Kyosho product I ever purchased. So like buggies are pretty close to my heart. In fact, I actually went up to 1/10th scale buggies. And was not disappointed by that. I ended up with a Techno 1/10th scale, and that thing is a beast. I'm having to be very, very careful about my purchases at the moment. I've got way too many projects. I do have... No, I think it's the E6 Torment in the 1/18th scale and the 1/24th scale, and that was a lot of fun. And that's sort of been the wrong sized bits here. Did it actually come with any tools? And that's been scratching my itch lately, but I tried to do a brushless conversion on one of those, and that turned out to be very, very difficult. Why are none of these fitting in? This is actually getting a bit irritating. Okay, I think I've got all the bits I could possibly need. No, I just got the wrong one. There we go. Okay, the problem I have with the buggies, so I actually tried to take them outdoors in rough terrain, and it turns out that's not what they're for. I need something that can survive the dirt and dust. More screw bits. Although, you know, honestly, maybe the A202 is the answer to that. Maybe I do need to take a more serious look at the A22. If you're looking for bodies for the A22, look up sdracing.shop. He does a body for the Charisma that may fit onto your chassis. And he blogs about his perfect fit. He blogs, or not blogs, he does a lot of YouTube uploads of him doing 3D work for designing the bodies and then vacuum forming them. Oh, man, that's all. Can't believe I wasted all that time. That's the problem with these things. You can get caught up on like a minor thing like that, and it just slows the momentum. And as someone who's streaming this, it doesn't make for much entertainment. So I actually appreciate your chatter, Daryl, because it makes for a much more interesting stream. And it definitely motivates me to keep on working on these things. Because like sitting here, trying to keep the conversation going is not the easiest thing for someone who's doing some live streaming. So I need to have a quick look. We're at 54 minutes at the moment. And that's actually not what concerns me. What concerns me is it is 9:08 here. And there's other things I need to do tonight. So I need to check in on the 3D print shortly. But what we'll do is make a bit more progress on the body. So we need the M208 screws, which are going to be these. Break this out to 8mm. It's 5, 6, 7, 8. If you don't know how to read manual calipers, definitely worth learning it. All my calipers at the moment have had their batteries run out, and I think if I'm going to get new ones, they're definitely going to be solar powered. In fact, you know what? I've got the electronics know-how. Why don't I just convert my current ones to solar? Hell, I was actually even looking at solar panels over the weekend. Okay, now these are going to have an endpoint in them. Yep. That should hopefully just be the same as that other nut. And I bet you it's not. No. Okay, so here's my first complaint about this this kit is that you need multiple different size tools to complete it. And that's never fun. Actually, that's interesting. So you're running the A202 off-road. What sort of... Is this just bashing, or is this with others, or are you competing, or... I've been trying to document the different types of of races and whatnot you can do with the RC car. And putting together a website for Blitzworks. No, was it? Yeah, Blitzworks.racing. And I thought with cars, it's like, okay, grip, maybe rally, maybe drag racing, and a bit of drifting, and that's it. Turns out there's a lot more categories than that if you actually go off and have a look. And then that's the story of how I spent 12 hours watching Russian trucks today. Yeah, the Sherp is quite an interesting vehicle, and it seems like a lot of people in Russia have knocked it off, or knocked the body design off. Which was actually kind of fun to watch, because they're having a competition about like which one is the best. So if it was all just Sherps, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting, but because every single one was like home built and handcrafted, it was kind of interesting in that regard. Okay, so do we need the long ones? We need 6.5. But is a 6.5 total length? 6.5. Is it the short or is it the long one? Is it the bottom part? Having a look at the picture here, I'm guessing the 6.5 is this bottom part here rather than the end-to-end length. The problem is that the long ones I've got on this sprue, this bottom part is 6.5 in length. And then these short ones, the total length is 6.5. So I must admit, I'm pretty confused as to how these go together. So I'm going to have to take a point off for that on this design. Like they should, if there's, because they've actually got 3 different types of ball end screw here. And it's actually not clear which one's which. They should be labelled. Although going off the screw sizes, it can only be the large one. Okay. Takes care of that. Ah, speed running, huh? Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. Like, I'm looking to get into custom fabrication and CNCing. So that sort of stuff is right up my my alley, and something I actually want to do in-house. I need a lot more practice, basically. I'm actually a big fan of the building of these RC cars rather than so much the racing of them, but that's just because there's not a lot of people to race in the local area. And as of late with COVID-19, even though Sydney is not under quarantine or lockdown and there's normal travel and whatnot, we've got a lot of people visiting this local area on the weekend, and so I can't go to the parks without dogs just being everywhere. And I tell you what, the dogs can absolutely savage a Model RC car. It's kind of irritating, and it's the small dogs that are annoying. Have you tried fabricating any offsets for your tyres manually, Daryl? Okay, that's looking good. I've just recently, so I started this stream showing off some 3D printed spaces I'd made, and I just recently bought a shim set. So getting the correct offset and shimming my tires has been where I'm at with optimization at the moment. I thought the MP9 was a 1/10 scale. Oh, they've got a mini MP9? Really? This actually I have to have a look at Kyosho Mini MP9. Oh, right. So the Mini Z 4x4, Mini Z buggy. I've actually got that exact model at home because I really like the body. And I've actually got a bunch of those tires and rims here actually. Because I wanted to put the rear tires on the front and get super grippy. But the problem with the Mini Z 4x4 is it's not robust and the suspension sucks. And it's not a good platform for tuning. Like, you really want to run that stock and not do a single thing to it. I put the big bore shocks on it, and that's probably the only upgrade you want to do it. But you start shimming tires and everything, and you just realize how bad the dimensional accuracy of all the parts on there are. I was kind of disappointed by it. I kept on breaking it basically, and it's hard to find some of the more aftermarket parts. Like I wanted the engine heatsink because I had real bad heat issues, but it's no longer sold, and you just can't buy it. So M24 countersunk should be these ones. M24 countersunk. Maybe I will have to have a look into the buggies after the rally truck. The rally truck seemed like a fairly robust platform to work off. Because I've got it set up for incredible suspension travel. Like suspension travel like you would not believe. So it's going to be very performant off-road. Or at least I hope. And then not only are the servos going to help in that regard, but they'll also be able to lift the body even higher for even more travel. So I'm expecting pretty big things with that. And I did actually have a stab at custom designing a chassis to replace the Mini Z buggy. So maybe I'll do the Mini Z buggy as my next big project, because I actually made some pretty big headway into designing a new ultra lightweight chassis for the Mini Z buggies. I've actually found it's been interesting getting into custom fabrication. So I do have 3D printers. I don't actually use them that much. A lot of stuff is me just taking a plastic box, cutting it up with my Tamiya handsaw. So this thing, if I can do it there, which is just like a Japanese handsaw. It's pretty good. And then super gluing things back together. And it's surprising how effective that is for some parts. Even load-bearing parts. The super glue really seems to help there. And the 3D printing, you have to start worrying, like, do I have the mechanical strength? Is it going to shear? Like I'm using toughened resin, which I think is good to about 10 kilograms, but even on a small Mini Z model, like hitting 10 kilograms off a jump, or getting 10 kilograms of force on a jump is pretty easy, and you just have wheels shear off. So it's been an interesting experience. I think I'd probably rather take off-the-shelf ABS plastic and cut it up if I wanted the strength compared to printing something, but it definitely has its places. I do have some carbon fiber sheets, and I'd love to cut them up, but not yet. I need to work. They're going to be the basis for the Mini Z buggy replacement, I think. I've been working on Formula One like suspension for the Mini Z buggy, so rather than having it go up and down, it's cantilevered and it goes back along the body. So you have your shocks mounted here rather than up like that. And so when this goes up and down, it pushes back that way. And if I do that, it reduces the amount of moving parts that are visible to dust around this area. And my hope is that I can fully enclose the front area and then start running this in small dirt and stones. 2 millimeters to the ground, but I thought you said this was an off-road car. Is this more like a carpet racer? Because like when I'm talking about off-road, I'm talking about like full off-road, like dirt path type stuff, with like stones about that big at a maximum, but more like that big. So very, very fine gravel crush, and that's what the rally truck's going to excel well in. But it sounds like if you can get away with 2 millimeters, it sounds like you're using an off-road car in a ground car, like a grippy track area type environment. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, don't get me wrong. But that doesn't sound like off-road like you were saying earlier. Okay, the chassis is flat. Oh, this looks complex. What's the time? I can probably do another 10 minutes and then I need to think about what I'm doing for the rest of the night. And I need electronics for that, and I don't feel like soldering tonight. This actually worried me. You probably can't see it on your camera. If I go, this worried me here, this part. I think it'll make more sense when I build it, but I really want to understand what sort of forces can cause this damage. And if the screw depth has to be 0.8, why they didn't fabricate it directly into there so you can't make a mistake. This seems bad. That was the other thing with the buggy, is that the Mini Z buggy, is that it did not have enough travel. I found if you put lithium-ion batteries in it, lithium-ion AA batteries and 2 spacers, it was much better. But it was just a bit too heavy on the big jumps. It was very much a carpet racer, and I was trying to do it in off-road, which it definitely wasn't designed for. But I would like something that's capable of both. Okay, I'm very, very happy with the... oh, it's probably a bit tight, actually, on that side. So I can just push it like that. And I can always tidy this up later as well. There we go, there's a bit of play there now. So I'm kind of happy with those arms. I think that's pretty successful. And then we just twist that off like that, and the battery slides out like that, which is great. I really, really like that design. It's nice and simple and lightweight. I would have also accepted rubber bands, but that's just me. Good carbon fiber. Straight, okay, yeah. In fact, maybe that A202 is a bit larger than I thought, because that's just one size down from the WL Toys 14401, isn't it? In which case I have seen people speed running that. Well, that's interesting with the rear wheel drive. Is there any particular reason? I'm still trying to understand steering geometry and four-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. So that does interest me. I'm just going to chat for a bit and pack everything up and get everything ready for tomorrow. But I'm very, very interested in this A202 project. So it's been interesting to see people doing speed runs of RC cars, especially these WL toy-like vehicles. In some ways, it's crazy to see people spending that much money on it. In other ways, it's interesting to see what they have to go through to iterate on it and come to a final solution. So yeah, seeing people go like dual battery packs and then aero and all that is interesting, but everyone seems to hit a wall at 100 at I don't know if it's 100 kilometers an hour or 100 miles per hour, which I also find interesting. And it doesn't matter what car it is. It seems like even the larger cars hit the exact same wall. So I'm wondering, is it a power to weight ratio thing, or is it a grip thing, or I really hope I do. Like, I will be subscribing to you on YouTube very, very shortly, I can assure you. I'm subscribed to a lot of people on YouTube, and it's actually kind of nice. There's always, well, I say there's always videos. On any given day, I've got a handful of videos to watch, which is good. Larger, right, interesting. While you're on stream, I'm just going to pull up the A202 again. And we'll quickly dive into it, and then I'm going to finish up the stream. Hour and 10 minutes, that's good. RC car. I will, so actually today is Monday, isn't it? Monday, yeah. So I will be streaming tomorrow. I won't be streaming on Wednesday, but we can work around that. Let's look at AliExpress. I've got sensitive information on the other windows, so I've got to be careful what I do show. A202, so that's pretty interesting. Discontinued. Right, yeah. That's interesting. So I think that the WL toys might be slightly longer, but skinnier. Yeah, finding tyres for this is going to be difficult. But if they're hex pieces, it should be pretty straightforward. Really don't like that body though. That's pretty awesome. "40 miles per hour." It'll be interesting to see when you go faster. I've actually come to appreciate these metal plates on the bottom. I thought they'd be a scratch magnet, but if you're dissipating heat, they're just absolutely perfect for that. I have been playing with peltiers as well for cooling, and some massive heat sinks, and it's interesting. The thing that limits the cooling capacity of these is not how much power you can dump through them, but the amount of heat sink, how much cooling you can give to them. Although I've got 4 of these and they're 60 watts a pop, so it's what, 240 watts worth of cooling power. So I just really want cold drinks very, very quickly. Cool. Yeah, I'm actually going to finish it here. Thanks for dropping by, Daryl. I will definitely be keeping an eye on you, and feel free to pop back. I generally stream around this time. It was a tad bit later than normal, but yeah, have a good one, and I'll see everyone soon. Keep on building.